Oh, that was interesting. But let's do a little get to know, Derek, because I don't know that everybody is quite as up on all the ins and the outs with Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. All right. So let's start with Desai, who's the new defensive coordinator. He was in Seattle. Well, let me start with this. He's 40 years old. My man, clearly a bright guy. Okay. He's got a bachelor's from Boston University.
Okay.
A master's from Columbia. And a doctorate from Temple.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He was an adjunct professor teaching at Temple while he was also coaching at Temple. Like, okay.
Jeez.
Sometimes it makes you wonder, like, you want to get in football? Like, anyway.
I'm telling you, man, this guy should be a professor somewhere running an academic department. Wow.
Yeah. 40 years old. Last year, he was the associate head coach of defense for Seattle, where Seattle really made a turnaround, and it looked like, we were all thinking Legion of Boom is out of here. They're going to stink. They were pretty good defensively in most major markers. They did a nice job. Prior to that, he spent 2013 to 21 with the Bears. In the 21 season, he was the defensive coordinator. He also coached safeties. He was a quality control coach as well. Spent a lot of time in the college ranks. 2012 at BC, he coached special teams and was a running backs coach. 2011, University of Miami. 2010, Temple special teams and linebackers coach. Yeah, I think this is the thing we also forget sometimes with these guys. Most of them coming up weren't just strictly one side of the football that they coached. They've been all over, most of these guys. And Desai's got a great background. Now, his approach is similar in this sense to Gannon in that he doesn't believe in giving up the big plays. He will force you to dink and dunk sometimes, which I know will get Eagles fans ticked off sometimes. He's not a huge blitzer, but his blitz rate is higher than Jonathan Gannon's is. Generally, the teams that he has coached rank fairly respectfully in sacks. So he does get to the quarterback. So that's just a couple little tidbits. He's the first Indian American to be a defensive coordinator as well. So that's Sean Desai.
Well, as a defensive assistant with Seattle, he also helped rookie Tariq Woolen and Quandre Diggs get to a Pro Bowl level. So obviously he has some really good coaching qualities. I love the fact that he's coached a little bit of everything. I go back to John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, when he was in Philadelphia, he was a special teams coordinator forever. All of a sudden, one year he moves to a secondary coach. We're like, huh? And then it makes sense because after that, he gets a head coaching job down in Baltimore where he's been forever. Mm-hmm. I think it makes you a more well-rounded coach when you've had the ability to hone in on different positions to get a feel for it, so that you can talk the lingo, I think, a lot better with when you become a coordinator and you start hiring all these position coaches. I think you speak the lingo better in terms of talking about each position and understanding what your coaches are telling you a lot better because you've had firsthand experience instead of getting it secondhand or just sporadically listening to other coaches talk about it. So I like the fact that not only does he have a high intelligence period, but I think it also helps enhance his football IQ as well.
Yep. I think it's a good point. It is a very good point. All right, let's jump over to Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson, again, another guy on the younger side here, but 36 years old. He was the Eagles quarterbacks coach 21 and 22 the last two seasons, certainly when we saw Jalen Hurts ascend. He was the Florida offensive coordinator in 2018 to 2020. Here's interesting about his time in Florida, Derek. He had Felipe Frank at one point who looked like he was going to be the quarterback of the future there, and he got hurt. And then Kyle Trask came in there, and Kyle Trask really shined.
Yep.
And a lot of people thought that he got a little bit more out of Kyle Trask than Kyle Trask was not the most talented guy in the world, but their offense was really humming when he was there. 2017, he was the offensive coordinator at Houston, University of Houston. And in 2014 through 16, he was the quarterback coach of Mississippi State. You know who he had one of those years?
Who was that?
Dak Prescott.
Jeez.
So he really helped develop Dak Prescott and helped him be ready at the pro level when a lot of people didn't believe in him. What did Dak go in, like the fourth round, whatever it was?
Yeah. Yep.
So, he was a guy who, even at a very young age, I mean, when he was at Mississippi State, he was like 27. something like that. Very young, but has really been mature ahead of his years. He was a 3-year starter at Utah. He was a 2-time bowl MVP for them. He was a very good player, and he went right into coaching after that. And of course, if you go way back, he's from the same area as Jalen Hurts and has known Jalen and Jalen's dad since he was a little kid. That's how far back he goes with the Hurts family. So pretty cool background
there. He is widely recognized with assisting in the rapid development of Jalen Hurts. He knows the quarterback position, played the quarterback position, and then having a hands-on with a young man he's known since he was a kid. There's a trust factor that was immediately established between those two. And for the coaching staff, for Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie to agree in unison that he should be the successor to Steichen, that says a lot about, what they think of him, especially as a young, think about it. All of these teams in the National Football League are always looking for the next great young offensive mind to be an offensive coordinator in the National Football League. And Brian falls into that category. So it's not like he has to get comfortable with Nick. Nick has to get comfortable with him. They've had a few seasons to be with each other, to understand each other. And also he's had some input into the offensive structure as well. So now his role gets to be elevated. He gets the ring of endorsement from the 3 most important people in that organization: the owner, the GM, and the head coach. And that's good enough for me. Now we got to see how it plays out on the field. How much is he similar to Shane Steichen, and how much is he different as well in terms of putting his own niche on his offense? But if they're going to give him the seal of endorsement, especially coming off of a Super Bowl run, if they're good with it, I'm good with it until I see reason not to be.
I'm with you. Like I need to trust the Eagles and their track record and their vision, during this run here with the people that they're elevating. But it's always scary when you lose assistant coaches. We saw it hurt Andy Reid. We saw it hurt, Doug. We've seen this be a downfall of an organization too. But I'm with you. To have that preconceived notion is wrong. Let's see what these guys do before we jump to any conclusions. All right, let's get a timeout in here, Gunner. We're going to come back. Anthony Sanfilippo from Crossing Broad is going to join us. We'll talk Phillies with Anthony. We might sneak in some Flyers as well. I have a feeling that may happen. So we'll do that when we get back. Don't go anywhere. That's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration is the place that you call if you have a home, you have a business, you have a property that goes through the pain, the inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, you name it. I have a friend who's going through it right now. I know it's a very difficult time. Pro Action is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I've experienced it with my parents at their house years back, and I called Pro Action on a Saturday, and they got right over there. And that's the beauty. Like I said, 24/7, Saturday, holiday, nighttime, whatever. They cleaned it up. Great price. Crew was the best. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured, and Pro Action Restoration has been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. They will also work in conjunction with your insurance company. So again, water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever it is, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or reach out online, proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.